2 wins for the Sabres this week and counting, and 2 visits from the legendary Rick Jeanneret. How lucky are we? Christmas has come early. Hi, RJ. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
We're great because we're still talking about the number one offensive team in the NHL, the Buffalo Sabres, after a win last night in Colorado. And I think what Marty and I love the most is, and we felt this when you guested with us on the pregame show the other night, like there's now this really great connection unfolding between the current group of Sabres and some of the most memorable Sabres that you had that front row seat to, whether it was 05-06 or 92-93 with the McGillneys and LaFontaines and Howard Chucks, or of course the French Connection. We're hearing all these names once again because of what Tage Thompson is doing and Rasmus Dahlin is doing, things like that. What is it doing for you and your memory bank as far as kind of, let's just say, the LaFontaine McGillney era, and whether Tage is helping take you back to that?
Well, sure he is, but I think I'm more pleased, happy, call it what you will, with the fact that after 11 years, the Buffalo Sabres are going in the right direction. I don't know where it's going to end this year. I'm not too sure about that, but they're one heck of a lot better off than they were a couple of years ago and going back those 11 years. I mean, there's nothing but good things in the future right now, being led by the likes of Dahlin and Thompson, and those fellows, and the coaching staff, which I think has done a wonderful job. Absolutely. I go into the dressing room now, and even if they've lost a couple of games in a row or something like that, they're smiling and they're laughing because they can't wait to get out there and win the next one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You very well know.
That's very cool. That the whole attitude is like that. But I'm not even surprised anymore with Tage Thompson. He's got 24 goals in 30 games. So I go in like every game expecting, well, Tage is going to have an impact. He may not score, but he's going to have chances. He's going to have a highlight reel. Now, like when McGillney scored 76 and Patty had 100 and Duffer, how many points did he have?
148.
148. Like, did you go in expecting that these two were going to do great things like I expect Dahlin and Thompson to do now?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There was no doubt about that whatsoever. And they had the attention of the whole league, that line. And do you remember who was on the other side of that line?
Well, for a while, it was Andrechuk.
That's right. That's people. Andy being there and everything. I was talking to Patty the other night. I did an appearance with him, and we were talking about that line. And they said, well, if I couldn't get one, and if Alex couldn't get one, we just throw it in front of the net because we knew that's where Andy would be, and he'd look after it from there on in. Yeah, when I was in Tampa a month or so ago, and I went that trip down there to Carolina and then to Tampa, I ran into Phil Esposito, and Espo was giving it to me about how many years I spent in this league and I didn't look the part and so on and so forth. And I remember Espo was the same kind of player, as far as I was concerned, as Dave Andrechuk was. They had legs like telephone poles. They could not be moved from in front of the net. Neither one of those fellows could. And that's what led to an enormous part of their success.
Amazing. RJ, we were digging in, as we have been doing here, because of the historical connections to some of the numbers. And obviously Buffalo's power play ranks so high right now. Marty and I were blown away by the fact that in the early 90s, that trio you just mentioned, LaFontaine, McGillney, Andrechuk, the Sabres, the three of them, were all 20 goal scorers on the power play. All of them had over 20 power play goals in a season. Just mind-boggling stuff that we've had. There's been no connection like it, as you said, over the last 11 years, but even league-wide, like that's unheard of.
Oh, yeah.
And it's truly amazing. So
and the other night when Tage got his 5 goals, and everybody was reminded of the time that Andrechuk got his in Boston, I was there, and I certainly remember that. And I mostly remember Andy's because I had him in a pool, and I said, "Whoa, they're really going in the right direction here for Andy and for RJ."
Yeah, a lot of points. Everybody's calling you a cheater the next day. Oh, you must have given him something special in his water. No, that's not how it works. But so we talked about the connection, right? Like the Thompson, Dahlin to the McGillney, LaFontaine to the French connection to Phil Housley to so many greats. But there's a league-wide connection now, and you mentioned Phil Esposito, who was a really good goal scorer in his time. Alex Ovechkin just got 800. He's a goal away from tying Mr. Hockey Gordie Howe. And Razor doesn't like when we call him Gordie or when we call the great one Wayne. So I'm going to say Mr. Hockey. And he's 94 away from tying Wayne Gretzky. When you were watching Gordie Howe later in his career and Wayne Gretzky, did you ever think anybody was going to get close to these two like Ovechkin is doing right now?
No, I just thought it was an insurmountable mountain that they were getting on, and that nobody was ever going to be able to achieve that type of mathematics again. But I guess I should have known better, because it seems to me that records, as they say, are made to be broken, and indeed they will get broken in most cases.
It's crazy, though, how different. I'm going to say how different they are, but you can give us a firsthand account of how differently you view Gordie Howe, Wayne Gretzky, and Alex Ovechkin, the only three members of the 800 goal club. Like, if you were to describe the three of them individually to someone who knows nothing about the game, like how would you describe them?
Well, they were different type of players, though. I mean, Gordie Howe, not only could he score goals and set up goals and everything else, he was also the king on the ice. I mean, nobody messed with him, and for good reason, because the next thing you know, you're on your rear end in the corner, and you know, the old Gordie Howe hat trick thing, the elbow, he took you down more than he was good with the elbows. He was really good with the elbows. and of course, Gretzky was just not that kind of a player. I remember one night, though, when Gretzky was playing in Edmonton. We were there, and I was doing radio. And Yari Curry lost his stick, fell out of his hands, or was chopped out of his hands, something, whatever. And I watched Gretzky circle around, carrying the puck, came back to the stick, flipped it into Curry's hands again, and carried on like nothing had ever changed. And I looked at the two benches, and both of them were going, their jaws have dropped on both benches. They couldn't believe he was able to pull that one off. And I said, "Did you see that?" Forgetting, of course, that I was doing radio.
Well, that's like Danny Gare's story, right? Where he's like, yeah. And he did this, and he did this one, and then he curled over here, and you gave him the old, "They can't see you," which is a great story from Danny working with you. But Ovechkin, as we now know, is a different type of player. Like the Duffer called him like brute force. And it's not the same brute force that Gordie Howe had. And he is a sniper and a goal scorer like, you know, Mike Bossy was and Mario Lemieux was. So there's an unbelievable connection between all of these aspects of these great players into Ovechkin. What did you make of him when he entered the league?
Well, Ovechkin, I think, is more of a power player. I mean, he's scary how big and strong he is. He just mows people down. He doesn't even think about it. Mm-hmm. I remember talking to somebody in the dressing room for Washington, and apparently Ovechkin had asked about Rasmus Ristolainen, and he said that I have a problem with him. He said, because every time I look up, he's in my face. And, you know, that was the way Ristolainen played the game and the way he did. Now, the best part of it is, as far as Ovechkin's side was, most of all, he could, you know, bowl him over. I mean, he's such a powerful individual. There are not too many teams in the league that have somebody that can physically be able to handle Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, it's amazing. You firmly believe Ovechkin's going to catch Gretzky, or do you think, or not?
Well, I didn't believe that I was going to catch him before. I don't. Let's put it this way. I don't think I used the word firmly.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a great chase regardless of how it ends up. But man, Ovechkin is on a mission once again. Already a 20-goal scorer this season. RJ, happy holidays to you and yours. Merry Christmas, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, folks. See you later.